Hi, we're the Non-Western Education Group. I'm Jamie Walzer.
I'm Emily B.
I'm Sabrina Contreras.
I'm Olivia Dunn.
And I'm Maddie Troya.
We each picked our own little topic to talk about. I found a quote from the Merrifield 2002 essay, and it said, "Teachers rarely challenge these perspectives," referring to the American and European perspectives, "by having students examine the ideas and experiences of diverse Arabs, Asians, and Muslims to see events or issues through their eyes. Students not only do not learn how other people make sense of the world, but they are also taught that they only need to see the world through mainstream American perspectives." What I got from this quote was that our culture doesn't challenge us to look at things from different perspectives other than our own stereotypical westernized view. I think if teachers challenge us more to do these things, we would be less closed-minded and less ethnocentric and probably more accepting.
It's also important to educate those of the non-Western world on non-Western issues. One way we do this is how we've learned through the course by the practice of contextualization, as Jamie mentioned before. Contextualization is essentially a skill because it's about taking all that's occurring in a general time period and putting it into a document and understanding how others felt at that time. Throughout history, there have been events that have occurred, some being tragedies. By contextualization, we the readers are able to better understand what happened and kind of feel for the people who actually experienced it. When we're talking about contextualization, it's important to talk about the big C and the little c. The big C's are all the things that influence the little c. So for example, in the video that was assigned to a previous module of ours, we see a teacher speaking with her students on contextualization, and the big C are items such as the SALT tax, the newly formed political party, and then all those things influence the piece of work at that time, which was the 1925 Young Indian newspaper. Through contextualization, the Western world is able to get a better understanding of the non-Western world and the issues that they faced.
So Makiguchi discusses the importance in the concepts of creating truth and value between the student and educational materials, as Olivia explained beforehand. So if students are forced to learn about different cultures, then they can begin to create that value towards non-Western ideologies. However, if teachers use education as an open tool for students, it can expand their non-Western thinking, and then it makes it more likely for students to continue creating value with these various non-Western practices on their own time and stop being as ethnocentric.
So I'm going to talk to you guys about the social factors in pedagogy. Pedagogy is an encompassing term concerned with what a teacher does to influence learning in others. There's a qualitative jump or discontinuity between the language and values that students learn from their cultural traditions and families and the values taught by school teachers. During the process of teaching, instructors will intentionally/unconsciously demonstrate social value and the political positions of social classes in their speech and behavior. This influences pedagogical orientation and students' psychological development. Children must use their mother language as an instrument to assimilate the new knowledge or to modify the structure of their minds to accommodate the new knowledge.
So for our last point, we're going to touch on a unique and interesting study that we found from the Education Economics website. It involves non-Western immigrants and they're required under an overeducation approach. So this requires the analysis of the return of non-Western immigrants to education. And after conducting research, it was discovered that non-Western immigrants' return rate to schooling is drastically lowered compared to Western immigrants. Returns to 1 extra year of schooling and education is 3 times higher for ethnic Norwegians than for non-Western immigrants. And using this method, which is the over-required under, or the ORU education approach, it was revealed that it is because non-Western immigrants have lower returns to overeducation and required education, in addition to lower penalties associated with undereducation. So it's argued that both the quality of education for one's birth country and lack of transferable skills are important components that surround this study. And by looking at this concept and examining the relationship between non-Western immigrants and the over-required undereducation approach, this can just be a unique way to tie this into the approach and what we've been talking about through this semester of global and international education.
As we discussed earlier, these are various examples how you can see how education is a vital tool while looking at the world because it allows us to see through a critical lens into other people's reality. Thank you for listening.